everybody, it's Stacie Duffy here, your Denver Metro real estate resource. And yes, we're doing our February Denver housing market update. So as you know, I have my stats pulled up for y'all. I'm a visual person, so I always like to show you the graphs and show you trends and data over time so you have context, right? Because data without reference doesn't mean anything. You need reference and time for context and patterns. So sure enough, if you want to go watch last month's, I guess it's over here, last month's video, I'll link to that up above and down below on the housing market update, because I said prices are going to bottom out in December and January because it happens every year. And oh wow, look at that. So just for reference, I've got my South Metro Denver Realtor Association county. So it's a 7-county Denver Metro area selected for my data set. And it is February 2nd at almost 10 o'clock at night. Because the kids are in bed and I want to get this done for you all. I want you to see this information because the market will shift. It is coming. Okay. I mentioned last month that change is coming. We're starting to see it in a couple of indicators here. As I mentioned, we're not going to see it in most things because most of our statistics look back at what happened 4 to 5, 6 weeks ago. But there are a couple of statistics that show what happened in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. And that I will show you as far as what's indicating that market shift is already starting. So you can see prices are actually back down to median price for this 7-county metro area for the Denver area is back down to just what it was, just below what it was last January. All right. We had everything crazy going on in the spring. Rates went through the roof. Everybody stopped. The world fell off a cliff for the last 6 months, which I'm sure if you've heard anything on the media, then, oh my God, the sky is falling. And they've been saying that for months. Yeah, they're going to say it about this month too, but I'm going to show you why it's not going to be the same next month. So our price bottomed out. That happens every January because January closings were December shoppers. Okay. Not many people like to go house shopping while they're doing their Christmas shopping because then we just feel really bad because between inflation and everything else, we're broke. Right. So most people, I did have a couple December shoppers because they said, hey, I want to buy a house in the spring. And I said, you know what? If I were you, I would shop right now and I wouldn't wait. Same reason I closed on a house in December because I shopped in November. I like to pick things up that time of year because that's when I go shop for property because I want to buy when the prices are low. I'm marrying the house. I'm dating the rate. Yes, the rates were higher. The rates will probably go lower. I can refi. So median price point, just below what it was about a year ago. Average, it's about a wash. Not quite as low, 616 for the average, and then 600 for the average last January. So that's why I like to look at median. I think it's a little bit more representative, just in case we have a couple, a handful of $1 million properties to kind of skew that data depending on the month. So I'm also going to look at price per square foot because y'all know I like that one. So median price per square foot actually went up a little bit, right? So people are buying a little bit smaller places than they were the previous month. Even though the price was a little bit lower, they're buying the smaller places, not just bigger places, more bang for the buck, which was the case for December. So, but this tends to top out about this time of year, right? December started to go up in January already. 2020 and 2021 were a crapshoot and not at all a good pattern reference. 2019, all right, we topped out in January. 2018 topped out in January or bottomed out in January. So not a lot of difference there, but here's why I want to show you. Oh, and closed listings, right? This is the least amount of closed listings for January, which means December shoppers. Always put that in reference. I think this was back to 2012 when I looked at it earlier today. Yeah, pretty comparable to 2012. 2,080 homes closed in January in 2012, 2,063, so a little less than January 2012. So not a lot going on, but here's the shift, right? So that's all your doom and gloom numbers, and that's what the media is going to say. Oh my God, the market's crashing. Things are terrible because that's clickbait and people will click it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people, doom and gloom and fear sells, right? Because if it's like, hey, the market's cool or the market's warming up or they're not entirely sure, they're not going to say anything because doom and gloom sells and everybody loves to be scared of what's going on. So here is our forward looking indicators. All right. So sorry about the widgets thing. I hate that part of new windows. I want to go to new listings. Boop, boop. Picking up, right? There's never anything, not much at all new in December because very few people list their house for sale in December. So January, this is a pretty good jump. Look at what it always does. It always jumps up in January. Jumps up December, January. December, January. We always get a really good uptick in January, and then look what happens. People start to list their homes. Here is where you say, wow, look at all those new listings in January. And not many of them are active, meaning not many of them are still available to buy. Yeah. So, and I haven't shown this to y'all. Maybe I'll show it in a future video when I have it prepped. But I have a rolling 7-day dashboard when I log into my MLS system as an agent and advising my clients that shows me for a snapshot of a certain part of town that I service a lot more often than others for the last 7 days what's going on. And I love those market snapshots because that shows me graphically, okay, how many back on markets do I have? How many new listings do I have? How many under contracts do I have? How many closings do I have? And there have been more new listings and more pendings than I have seen in weeks, than I have seen in 6 months. And my back on market and my price reduction or price decrease sections are very, very, very small. So I'm seeing more new listings, but I'm seeing more pendings than I did new listings for the last 7 days. That's market activity, guys. That is what I'm talking about. So we are getting the new listings on, and that's going to continue to go up as it does typically in the spring, but there's still not much to buy. We're still in a shortage here, okay? The other things that I like to look at, showings, showing activity, boop, boop, 9 showings per listing on average. Now, granted, I have some beef with the data collection process for showings, right? Because for those that work in the Denver metro area, you understand we have 2 showing services. This only captures the showing data from one of those showing services. So it's a reparative sample of a portion of the market. It's not all of the showing traffic for the market. However, patterns and trends, right? So 9 showings on average per listing for January versus 5 showings in December. Okay, let's go back in the last couple of years. Like I said, have just been a total crapshoot. But still, in December, even when things were busy the last couple of years, we had 13 showings in December and then 21 in January. Things always jump up, guys. I mean, go back and look. Okay, March, April, May, January, February, March are February, March, April closings. Always think, our data looks back 4 to 5 weeks. So sure enough, spring season has started. It will continue to go up over the next couple of months, okay? Activity is going up. I had a listing that had been on the market for 4 months that we got under contract. Buyers super happy, sellers super happy. And I've seen that more in the last 14 days than I've seen in a while. And what do I say the market usually picks up? Mid-January, okay? Patterns, please, please, please. Look at patterns. Stop listening to news and clickbait. Look at data. Look at information. So, anyway, showings per listing is always a good indicator of recent market activity because all of those showings that are happening in the last month are going to be closings in February. More showings and more pendings and more new listings that are under contract. So more new listings that are not active because they're already pending mean more closings in February. Okay, more activity drives price. Sorry about the microphone. I have more buyers getting into the market. And I haven't looked at days on market yet. Let's take a look at that. Let's see if I do a little guessing here. I expect our days in MLS to be pretty rough for January, and it's going to take a sharp turn because these are December contracts. Look at that. Pretty rough in January, and it'll take a sharp turn in February. And I bet this is January. January. See a pattern? Oh, December. Things heated up a little early. January. December. January. Okay, guys. Happens every year. Do I need to keep saying the same thing over and over? Anyway, as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this. I knew it was going to be pretty rough this year. So that's going to take a sharp turn in February because those showings are already up. Those pendings are already up. Look at the pendings. Pendings are already up. Here you go. So that'll just keep climbing for the spring market. Anyway, so no surprises whatsoever. A little bit of negotiating on the sales to list price ratio. That's obviously going to go up. See, January. Like I said, last 2 years were a crapshoot. Don't look at those when it comes to market activity and a lot of this stuff. But yeah, that's going to keep going up. So what that means is if you are thinking about buying in the next few months, a couple things to consider. Have a strategy. Sit down with your realtor. If you're in the Denver metro market, sit down with me. I'd love the opportunity to interview for your business and help you make a game plan that makes the most sense for you. So I did this on Saturday with some new buyers, and they're actually tenants in one of my rentals right now. So they said, hey, we're wanting to buy. Cool. How soon? We're flexible because you're going to work with us on the lease. You bet I am, right? Happy to help. So given that, yes, the rates are projected to come down. I'll tell you what's going to happen. A lot of people are going to wait for the rates to come down so things get more affordable, but then everybody's going to wait. And then when the rates get good, everyone's going to get in at the same time. And then that causes competition and drives the prices back up. And then now the affordability is not just a month-to-month issue. It's now you have to use your cash that you were going to use your down payment towards down payment and closing costs. And now you have to compete with that in appraisal gap coverage. Okay? Let's use our money a little bit better here. So, is it nice to have a little bit lower rate? Yes. I also think it's nice to not have to bring $15,000, $20,000, or $25,000 cash to the closing table to cover appraisal gap or waive inspections. I hate waiving inspections. I hate it when buyers have to waive inspections. Let's shop smarter here. So, if you shop a little earlier, before things get really crazy, even if the rates are a little bit higher, it will cost you less to refinance the loan in the short term than it will to spend that cash up front and give it to the seller. Okay? So, and especially if you get in a little bit earlier, you have more time and you get to catch the upswing of that market appreciation a little bit. And then that extra equity will help cover some of your refi costs. All right? So, what I talked to my buyers about is they said, hey, if it works, like we'd love to get into something really soon. Cool. Then let's get into something sooner. And instead of being worried about the rate coming down just enough where you can save $20 or $30 or $50 a month on your payment, let's get you a better deal on the front end, not have to waive your inspections, not have to compete on your property ideally, get you into something sooner so you get some upswing of the spring market appreciation with that. And then just plan on refining, okay? So honestly, that's what I'm planning on doing with the house that I bought in December. Was my rate awesome? For the time, yeah. Now, a month later, it's already better. So I'm just planning to, hey, let me recover some of my costs, and then I'm going to refi this down the road because I got a heck of a buy on the property, and I had a lot of negotiating power because of the market condition. So that's my advice to buyers right now is really talk to your agent, strategize about these things. And I'm sorry, I'm on the fuzzy camera. It's because it's 10 o'clock at night. I didn't want to set up my phone on the tripod. So make a plan, okay? Use your funds wisely and use the time and the pattern of the market to your advantage, right? If you are going to sell, so I also met with a seller on Saturday, different seller, 2 people Saturday. So, and she said, hey, I'm flexible on timing. I would like to get as much money as I can for my place. So I have a place to go. I can sell now. I can sell in 2 months. I can sell in 6 months. I can sell in 9 months. I said, okay, if it were me, I'm going to shoot for March and April. And here's why, right? These closed prices. Oh, I already turned off the screen for y'all. Anyway, the closed prices, typically, they top out in May and June closings, which is April and May shoppers. May cuts a little close for my level of comfort here because last year with the rate changing, that changed in late March, and that really, you could still get a good top dollar in April because people didn't realize it and the market was still really competitive and people just dealt and you got some carryover. But generally, May cuts a little bit too close for comfort for me. If you're flexible and you want to try to top the very, very, very peak, right? Obviously, life doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes timing the market perfect isn't the most important thing to help you accomplish your goal, and it doesn't make the most sense. But in this case for her, it did. So she's like, hey, I got some time to do some work, to fix some things up. Let's time it to where it makes sense. I said, okay, I would suggest shooting for And March is too soon, probably for the things that you want to do to the unit. You'd like to live here a little bit longer if you can. Let's shoot for April and try to give you a rent back for a little bit. So it gives you a little bit more time to rent in the property. Best situation for her. So make a game plan, okay? And knowing that those April shoppers are going to be May closings. And that's usually where we top out for the year. Subject to, I was going to say God knows what happens, but we've already had a worldwide pandemic. We've had record inflation and we've had extreme rate increases and volatility. So, I mean, short of just the world starting to burn again somehow, other way. Obviously, there's anomalies that happen, right? And the rate volatility, I think, is going to be the big thing this year as far as determining timing of the market and buyer confidence in the market and their comfort level getting in and competing and doing all these things. So if those rates stabilize kind of where they're at, I expect the spring market to come back a little bit. Obviously not to what it did the last 2 or 3 years, because that shit's crazy. And I hope I never have to live through that again, because it was miserable for agents and buyers. And so, like, it was just rough. So, but there's still some seasonality to the market. There's still competition in the spring market typically. So let's plan for that, okay? So all that coming down to, if you were looking to buy or sell here in the Denver metro area, especially in the next 6, 9, 12, even 2 years out, and you want to make a game plan, I am all about making a game plan, because then we can really use a lot of these factors and a lot of this data and knowledge to your advantage, okay? Both to make it easier for you, logistically, stress, time, updates, as well as financially, right? It's all about helping you accomplish your goals. And the goal isn't always money for everybody. Just for a lot of people it is. So please feel free to reach out to me. My information is down below. I would love the opportunity to interview for the position to help you, because you're hiring someone to do a job for you. You should always be interviewing agents, as I always say. So thank you so much for the time. If this was helpful, if you learned something, if you're like, hey, cool, I get it now, hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. It also helps other people find it. And obviously subscribe to my channel if you're finding the content valuable. So thanks so much for the time, guys, and have a good one.